were let down by policing in 2005. For that, we are sorry. A significant number of women and girls who showed remarkable courage to speak up at that time also did not get the justice and support they needed and deserved from Strathclyde Police. Police Scotland launched a reinvestigation of the case in 2015 after instruction from the Lord Advocate. It is clear that further investigations should have been carried out into Emma's murder following the initial inquiry in 2005. The lack of investigation until 2015 caused unnecessary distress to her family and all of those women who came forward to report sexual violence. It's the courage, resilience and determination shown by Emma's family, in particular her parents, William and Margaret, and all of those who survived Iain Packer's horrific catalogue of offending that got us to where we are today. William is sadly no longer here to see this day, but I hope this verdict gives Margaret and all of those affected by this case the justice they deserve. This was an extremely challenging reinvestigation and without doubt the largest police inquiry of recent times in Scotland. Over 7 years, a full review of the original inquiry by Strathclyde Police in 2005 was completed. More than 30,000 documents and statements were gathered and reviewed, along with in excess of 23,000 productions. New forensic tests were carried out and new witnesses were identified and interviewed, leading to the convictions today. Iain Packer was a calculating sexual predator who targeted women over many years. It's hard to comprehend how anyone could carry out such despicable, ruthless acts. He took Emma's life for his own gratification in the most appalling circumstances and cruelly left her body in remote woods, hoping to cover his tracks. But time is no barrier to justice, and I would urge anyone who's been the victim of sexual violence to please come forward and speak to us. You will be listened to, and you will be supported, no matter when the offences took place. We have reflected and learnt from the initial investigation and subsequent reinvestigation. Significant changes have been made in recent years to improve our organisational culture and our response, particularly in respect of investigative structures, victim care and processes to these types of crimes. Our Violence Against Women and Girls strategy demonstrates our absolute commitment to tackling the violence and abuse that disproportionately affects women and girls. What shone through to the inquiry team throughout the investigations into Emma's life was her gentle personality. And I want to finish by saying that our thoughts remain with Emma, her family, and all those affected by this terrible case. Thank you.
Is it embarrassing that it's taken 19 years to get to this?
For Emma and her family and many other victims, we let them down, and for that we're really sorry. We know that a significant number of women and girls showed remarkable courage and came forward, and they didn't get the justice and support they needed from Strathclyde Police.
Is it embarrassing that it took 19 years?
It took time because it was a really complex investigation, but we absolutely should have done more in 2005, and that's why the reinvestigation was launched in 2015.
How sorry are you? You say in the statement that the police are sorry about what's happened here, but just how sorry are you, bearing in mind the passage of time it's taken for Emma's family to get the justice they've got today?
We are exceptionally sorry. They were let down, as were many victims in 2005. We've completely changed our practices and processes, and we've learned from this, and we will continue to learn moving forward.
I think what people don't really understand when looking at this case is why, when the first trial collapsed, Packer wasn't looked at that stage. There was plenty of witness statements at that point that pointed the finger towards him. Can you shed any light at all on why that wasn't done at that point?
As I've said, we let people down in 2005, Emma, her family, and many other victims.
I think, though, that what I'd like to try and hear a little bit more about, if I may, is what you have learned, though, because in the statement you say that you have learned from past mistakes. So what have you learned? What is it that you would do differently now that was certainly not done then?
I think one of the most important things is that we absolutely listen to people when they come forward. Time is no barrier to justice, and I know that's something that's changed massively. We have invested a lot of time understanding how violence against women and girls affects communities, and it's our responsibility to make sure that people feel confident to come forward and report to us, and that's a huge change in the way that we operate now to 2005.
And what also about the way you talk to your investigational teams?
Yeah.
About this trial collapsed. Why was it not at that point? There was not further look at the evidence there. Was there something that had been missed? Why was that just allowed to kind of roll on for so many years?
I think what I would like to say around that is, again, the investigation in 2005 wasn't right. We let people down, and the reinvestigation in 2015 was exceptionally thorough and took an awful lot of time to get to where we've got to today.
Are there any processes, though, to do that review a bit sooner, so that it's not just, the thoughts of one investigation team on what the narrative is in that case? Have you learned from that to have that review a lot quicker?
We would absolutely review cases, and we do exceptionally thoroughly. It's something that we do frequently, and as I say, there is no barrier to justice in terms of time, and it's something that we will continue to do as an organisation moving forward.
Do you fear that there were other women who may have been attacked that haven't come forward in the time that Packer was at large?
What I would say in relation to that is, if anybody watching this feels that they have been a victim, I absolutely encourage them to come forward and talk to us. We will listen, and they will be believed. As I've said, time is absolutely not a barrier. No matter when any sexual offending happened, we will listen and we will investigate.
Emma Caldwell's family have called for a public inquiry into the original investigation and for the officers that were involved in making decisions at the time to be prosecuted. What's your reaction to that?
We would support any judicial proceedings that may come as a result of this, absolutely. And just in relation to the officer side, we submitted a report as a result of the Strathclyde investigation in 2005 to COPFS.
Any other questions? Thanks very much, everyone.
Well, that press conference concluding there from Police Scotland, reiterating their apologies to the family of Emma Caldwell.